Brevin, I have a problem.
Uh-oh.
I'd like to discuss with you.
Okay.
You know, last week on the show we talked about I Uber eated a couple of times, right?
You starting to we've started to have a little counsel away from you to talk about your Uber eating.
We're in San Antonio from Tuesday to Friday last week, and I had room service twice and Uber eated a third time. And Eric Hasseltine, who travels with us and I go out with a lot on the road, he's concerned that I'm never going to leave the room again.
Yeah,
that I'm becoming that person. And I felt bad, and I felt like I needed to get this off my chest when I Uber eated Potbelly, which was amazing.
sandwich shop.
But it turned out, dude delivered it on a bicycle. It was 0.3 of a mile away, and I couldn't get my ass out of bed to go get it.
That's what I thought.
That's a problem.
That's an intervention time. that is intervention time because it's meant to be something that an alert or your job doesn't allow you to get out. But if you have the capacity to move and get out and do some level of.
It's not like it was raining or it was cold.
Nothing. I mean, that's just the capital L word there.
And I didn't know. I didn't. To my credit, I didn't know it was that close until I saw the guy riding down the street on a bicycle, and then I looked it up and realized it.
And you had the bicycle dude on the app. Did they put the bicycle?
Yeah, the little bicycle.
The little bicycle. Felt like an asshole. I made this dude ride.
Oh, it's terrible. And now all I do is get alerts and emails from Uber Eats. Thanks. Appreciate that. Thanks. Welcome to the show. This is Night Court. I'm Rob Fisher. He's Brevin Knight. We got a big show for you here today. We're going to talk a lot of Grizzlies, some NBA, some NFL playoffs, national championship game last night as well. We'll get into that. We got toasts, all this good stuff coming up on the show. Brevin, we'll start with the Grizz, and we'll start in San Antonio. 2 good wins. Dez was awesome. Grizzlies as a team were awesome in the second game. Grizzlies were awesome in the second half of both games.
Yeah, that's what we've been seeing here from this Grizzlies team as of late is things may go one way in the first half, but they've done a fantastic job of being able to go into the locker room and come out with adjustments. And you know, in San Antonio, you give them credit. It was one of those situations where there was an unknown. We've all been seeing and hearing what Wemby has been doing this season. You talk about how Chris Paul's influenced this young basketball team. They're getting up and down. Castle has been fantastic. We saw him play 2 different basketball games. First game, a lot of perimeter jump shooting. Mm-hmm. Second game, with the way the Grizzlies defended him, a lot of downhill basketball for him. And so they have a nice young nucleus. Keldon Johnson had good games for them. So it was nice to see the Grizzlies be able to adjust, win in that environment, and do what they have to do in terms of keeping teams behind and moving themselves up.
You said a couple of times that it was the most different sort of role you've ever seen for Chris Paul in his career. What did you mean by that?
Well, the thing was he never handled the basketball. Like, the one thing that we've come to know from Chris Paul is he's an orchestrator.
Right.
He's never really been.
That was the whole point of him being on this team, right?
Exactly. He's never been a guy that's been off the ball. And so I didn't know if in the first game, and I haven't watched enough of the Spurs to say how they played normally, just in the games that we played. The thing was, the first game I thought was because we put Jalen Wells on him. And so it was like, well, to take away their major defender, we'll just kind of take him off the ball. See, now, because Wells is not so much a help defender, when he's defending someone, a lot of times he's the guy that just takes a guy out of the game. Mm-hmm. Then that means that now you have one less help guy to play against your 4-on-4. So maybe that was the decision in the first game. But then to see them do it when he wasn't defended by him, to see it in the second game when Jalen Wells wasn't on him from the beginning, and he still was off the ball, was a little bit of a head scratcher. But you know, it was that can be the role that he has to that he's playing for that team, and he's just a guy that he's on the floor. If they need it, he can stabilize things. But they're letting the other guys have more of a hand. But it was definitely in those games a different role for me seeing a Chris Paul play.
Wemby's 8.5 blocks were impressive. The thing that impressed me, I think, which is kind of weird, is that the Grizzlies kept going at him, though. I mean, they kept attacking. He got his blocks, and he's going to get his blocks. But then he didn't have one in the second half. in the 2 games, I don't know. I guess I expected to see more from Wemby, just because I've seen more. Like you, I haven't really watched the Spurs, but I've seen a lot of highlights of him, and I've seen a lot of stat lines from him that are incredible. And his stat lines were good against us, but I don't think they were impactful.
His play was underwhelming, is what it was.
Right?
Like we all see what the size, we see the length, you see the skill, but to me, it was the shot selection was awful. And that was the thing that set it apart was if he would take the shots where he is that's dominating for him, like I would say for him it's almost like you watch he has more plays like a mid-range Kevin Durant or a mid-post Dirk Nowitzki.
Mm-hmm.
Like because of his length, it's very hard to contest anything. He caught the ball at the free throw line one time, made the dribble, and then opened up for a layup, and I was like, holy shit. Dude was at the rim laying the ball, like over the top of Jaren. Just literally, I was like, God, dog. I'm glad he don't do that more often. We saw more 2 feet off of the three-point line, jump shots, 1-foot runner going towards the basket. It was weird the type shots he was taking.
Yeah.
So there's no denying the impact that he'll have on games. And almost his impact for me was what he did defensively. And the only reason why the change in the game in the second half were there was less Zach Edey on the floor. There was more him and Jaren having to defend one another at the 5. And then or Huff was in the game. So that meant if he was defending Huff or if it was Santi, whatever the other big was, that kept him away from the basket. That's why he wasn't able to have the blocks, why they were able to be successful.
Right.
But it was underwhelming. I was excited to see. I wanted to see it this next season, like what he looks like this year. It's going to be different. I didn't. On the defensive end, amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, he blocked threes when dudes started jump shots, and he was still at the block.
He is just so long. It's crazy to watch him warm up. He hit me in the head. He was juggling a soccer ball during warm-ups, and I was in the middle of speaking, and I got hit in the head with a ball. And apparently it was hit pretty hard. But the problem, everybody's like, are you okay? Did it hurt? And it's like, no, it didn't. The basketball just kind of grazed my head. It didn't hurt. What hurts is your reaction, because something hits you from behind and your neck goes like that. And then you're like, oh, my neck, what did I just do? So that's what hurt.
Your pride gets hurt. Like, oh, was that on camera?
Yeah, and it wasn't on camera. But and as the professional I am, I kept talking, so it turned out okay. Then in San Antonio, we had one of the greatest plays that never happened, as Ja dunked over Wemby. From your seat, what's your impression? What's your look of it? Because your view of it and my view of it are different.
Mine was straight. We were looking directly as it happened. Because Ja goes around, they call the fouls on the left side. He goes down the left side.
And you guys are on that side of the
court.
court.
And we're on this side of the court. We're directly behind him. And when the foul happened, a lot of times fouls happen in the NBA and guys keep playing. And it's like, I'm not going to let you get a shot off. They'll do whatever it takes not to get a shot. This one was different because when Ja kept going, it's like, we just watching it. And when that happens, sometimes you start looking at something else, what was the call? This one was like, oh, no, this is different. Wemby goes to jump, it's like, oh, no. And then you were doing a report. You were doing a hit. And then when he did it, it was like, oh, and you were trying to do your thing. And me and Petey was like, it was like, oh, my God. Did you see that? I was like, sorry, Fish, we didn't. But it was to see him elevate, to see and it wasn't like Wemby was going to be late. Sometimes, like, you can jump, and now I'm already there, and now a big try, and it's just like, you just late. And now I'm a punch on you. Nah, and that was why Ja couldn't get all the way to the rim to grab the rim. It's why he had to throw it through, because it was literally 7'5", now wingspan of 8'6", whatever it is now. And boy, to see it was just like, man, this dude he's a freak of nature with what he can do. I don't know if it's Vince Carter freak of nature. Like, that's something of another stratosphere. what he
The
did.
insanity, man.
That's something that's so somewhere else. But it is as amazing.
That was unbelievable.
It's crazy to see, and we get to like see it in person. Remember I said to you the other day.
Some of us do.
Well, yeah, because you don't.
I never saw it.
That's because you had that great seat that they give you.
I was 20 yards from the rim. That's it. I'm that close, down the tunnel. So from where I'm sitting down the tunnel, I can't see the game. So I have to watch it on the monitor. But sometimes when the ball's on this end of the court, sometimes I'll watch and I can see what's going on. There's a chance that if I was paying attention, I would have seen it in my face.
Yes.
Because he came walking down the tunnel where I was sitting.
That's what everybody's like, what was he saying? I was like, I don't know.
I don't know either. Because first of all, the thing I dread the most when we're doing our broadcast is talking over you and Pete when something happens. It's the worst. I feel terrible for it because I want Pete to have the call and your reaction. But when I heard the whistle,
right, exactly.
I just figured, well, keep going, right? And out of the corner of my eye on the monitor, this little tiny monitor that's as big as an iPad, it's in like standard def. Out of the corner of my eye, I see he goes through with the dunk. And I just kind of stop and you guys react. And then I'm like, do I keep talking? I don't now I don't know what to do. Was this a big deal? I mean, I didn't know how amazing it was. And so it sucked for me.
It wasn't good for you.
I was there in person. I was really close to the basket. Didn't see a lick of it. First time I saw it was on a replay. And I was like, man, I wish I would have seen that. So sucked for me.
Well, that's crazy how we can be in the same place at the same time and have
I was closer than you.
Right, and have two totally different experiences.
I had a better seat than you of the play.
Right, exactly.
Oh man, yeah, it was terrible. All right, and then you play Minnesota on MLK Day. Big win in that one. Jaren, a closer. We talked about it on Grizzlies Live last week about Jaren closing games. He did again. I mean, after being in foul trouble, he plays the final 12 minutes of the fourth quarter, goes 6 of 8 from the field, scores 15 points. He was the closer for the Grizzlies. It was a weird game. I mean, Grizzlies were down 13, and you're like, oh, well, they're shooting 35%. Oh, wait a second, Minnesota's shooting 36%. And it was like, how are we not down 30 at this point? And he just hung around. Just like the first Minnesota game, hung around, and made plays at the end to win.
Well, I thought the biggest thing was they didn't allow the inability to make shots on the offensive end affect them defensively. That was the biggest thing.
Sure.
A lot of times when it's not going down offensively, you get a little bit of a drop off on the other end that then allows that team to take the lead.
Right.
And even though Minnesota took the lead, that lead a lot was built on them going to the free throw line. It wasn't as if they were making a lot of shots. They were being efficient at doing anything.
Right.
And so it just was a matter of when were the Grizzlies going to finally just hit enough of a stride, make enough baskets that they can get themselves into the game. The other thing was, how were they going to get the crowd involved?
Oh,
because
it was tough. I don't blame the crowd. It was just a tough game aesthetically.
Bro, it was hard for us to keep trying to hype people up that were watching at home. That just, don't worry.
On that point, do you think, because it was talked about in the post-game show on the radio, I was listening on the way home, it was talked about in the Houston game. Remember, we got off to the real slow start in the Houston game, and all of a sudden Taylor Jenkins throws Yuki Kawamura out in the first quarter.
Yes.
And you're like, what the heck is going on? And they were talking about on the post-game show saying, they certainly did that because the building needed some energy. And I was like, oh, well, that's an interesting point. I don't know if that's true, but that's interesting. Last night, it was so blah, the crowd started chanting, we want Gigi.
Yes.
And it was like, put Gigi in, and it lifted the building, at least momentarily for a moment. Any truth to those, do you think?
I think the Yuki situation was they could not get anything initiated offensively.
Let's try this.
At least let's put somebody who's accustomed to
Running.
Yeah. Can we at least get something in that fashion? And the Gigi Jackson situation was, again, they weren't playing well.
Right.
There was, and you have this guy who's on the bench that may be able to change the game.
Taylor said after the game that they weren't sure he was going to play.
Right, but things were going the way they were.
Yeah.
So I think in terms of Taylor's mindset, and for people that are doing the basketball side, it was how was it going to uplift this team. It wasn't what it was going to do for the building.
Right.
So the thought process was, well, we think he might be an injection of life. And
Which brought an injection of life in the building.
Which then it goes hand, but I can promise you that the building
didn't have any.
wasn't part of the equation.
I think that's fun to think about.
But understanding that we all know that. But like looking around, it's like that upper deck really ain't got it going right now.
Hey, Yuki, get in there.
Get him going, Yuki. I mean that's not the way that Yuki or Gigi want to feel as though that's their contribution to the team. You guys are the guys that get the fans going. That's your role for us. Fan starter. That's not. They don't want that.
No.
You want me to go in the game because there's a role that I can fill that helps change the game. That's why I want to go in.
Yeah. All right. This week got Charlotte.
Yep.
At home.
We about to see some park basketball on Wednesday. Well, what's today? Yeah, Wednesday.
Park basketball?
Park basketball Wednesday. Oh, at his highest level.
Yeah.
I hope that everything was good with Josh so that he's able to play in this game because for all of you who have not watched Charlotte play, LaMelo Ball is playing as if he is back in high school, that he is back in Cali in the driveway. You don't know what he may pull out. Literally, you don't know what move he may make.
Right. All right. I'm looking forward to seeing him, I guess. I don't know.
And they play hard. Bridges,
Who's
I like
their
the way
coach?
I think Brandon Miller is out, though. I think he's out with an injury. If I'm not mistaken, I had to look. I'll look and see if he is now because I really like Brandon Miller. And they're one of those teams that, like, if you don't come to play and you allow them to be free and run around, then they put you in jeopardy.
Who's their coach? Do you know?
Lee from the dude from Boston. Charles Lee
from Boston.
And of course he would bring that mentality. But yeah, so that'll be. But it's one of those games you got to win. You know, it's like you can't lose to Charlotte.
Yeah.
At this juncture, with how they're playing, it's not you don't put the pressure on yourself, but you go in with the same type mindset that they went in to play. Both San Antonios, the same way they came in to play on MLK Day against Minnesota. They have to have that same mindset to go beat this Charlotte team.
And I think for the most, New Orleans, the same thing on Friday.
Same thing, yep.
I think for the most part this year, other than the 2 Brooklyn games and the Chicago game,
yes,
that they blew. They weren't really beat throughout that game. They blew that game against Chicago.
Yeah. But the Brooklyn games, they lost.
But that's it. I mean, for the most part, against teams of that ilk, they have done very well this season.
And they're at home.
And then Utah, same thing with Utah.
No, these next 3, the getting the game versus Minnesota was extremely important, and it set them up for a nice homestand and a nice little run here to be able to keep moving up. Half game behind Houston. Mm-hmm. Denver still behind. Clippers, you keep them behind. Dallas is behind. Charlotte beat Dallas coming in here now.
Right.
And so it's a good opportunity, great opportunity for them.
I think it's interesting this week. A little nugget for you. The Grizzlies' next 3 games are against the New Orleans Hornets, the New Orleans Pelicans, and the New Orleans Jazz. How about that? Huh? Right? A little.
Wow. You think the NBA knew that when they set that up?
It's rivalry week.
Where? Right? In what?
In the NBA. It's rivalry week.
Is that what they're calling it?
Yeah, and we got Charlotte.
What are the rivalries? We got NBA rivalries for real?
Yeah, it's rivalry week. I think Celtics may be playing the Lakers this week, I think, and there are all the games on national TV they're marketing as it's rivalry week. And they have all these rivalry
The
games.
Knicks 76ers?
I think it's
Or is it like
Pelicans.
rivalries from storied rivalries, I guess? Because I don't know. They're like, what are these?
I don't know what they consider
Because
rivalries.
they didn't give us anybody.
Celtics Lakers this week.
They didn't. Who's our
Any other
rivalry?
rivalry games?
Heat Bucks.
Heat Bucks maybe.
New Orleans? That's our
I
rivalry.
guess.
New Orleans?
I think.
Dallas.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Then we go to the Knicks.
That'd be a good. That'd be a good test.
Good test, real good test.
I'm freaking sick and tired of the metrics. Metrics. You know what I'm saying? The metrics are ruining college basketball, and I think we need to do away with them. I know. I'm one of the ones that's always looking at them, and I can't help it. But it's because the damn things are updated every single night. If a team went out there and won every single game this year by 1 point, their metrics would be shit, but they would be the national champion. We have a good resume, and we're going to get hurt down the stretch because we're not beating teams by 20 plus. And I think that that's stupid.
College basketball, very specifically, is quite unpredictable.
TJ.
And you get these weird runs, dude, and this stuff happens all the time. So when people mention Kim Palm, I'm like, okay, you can use it sometimes, but you can't. It can't be your Bible for a lot of this stuff.
The metrics,
you can't use it that way.
And these dorks and these computers are trying to make college basketball make sense. And that's the beauty of college basketball, is it doesn't freaking make sense.
Tune in to Tigers Untapped with your hosts, Trey Lasley and TJ Willis, every Tuesday at 3 p.m. on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel. But you look at the 21 team, the 22 team, the 23 team. A lot of times you'll see Memphis go on long winning streaks and then multiple games in a row losses, right?
Yeah.
Like last year, they won 3 conference games and then lost 4. Then they won 3 and then they lost 3.
How many times have we called Memphis seasons roller coasters? Because they take those swings, like you said, like they'll win 3 really good games and then they'll drop a couple just inexcusable.
The things that plagued them in the Temple game, they fixed in the Charlotte game, and they beat another team on the road in a conference where it's landmine season, landmine game after landmine game. They righted the ship rather quickly comparatively to other Tiger teams. Tune into On the Bluff with Christian Fowler and Gabe Kuhn every Tuesday at 12 p.m. on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
Joel Embiid will be reevaluated in a week with his knee. Just wanted to let you know.
I'll be honest with you. You start questioning, will he be able to play basketball again? I mean, at some point in time, you have to. It's almost you start being. You remember how Brandon Roy went?
Yeah.
And it was where it was just like he would come make the comeback and play a little bit, but inevitably down again. Unfortunately, and sometimes your body just doesn't cooperate.
All right, NFL playoffs.
All right, I did awful.
You didn't do well. The Chiefs, we got the Chiefs right.
We got the Chiefs right.
We did not get the Bills right. We did not.
I mean, Jesus. I mean, how many turnovers were the Ravens going to make to just keeping the Bills in the game?
You know the last time they had 3 turnovers? Last year's AFC Divisional Series.
I mean, literally, and through it all, it's like, Mark Andrews is so good, bro. He's just so good.
Mark Andrews.
Like it was right there, Mark.
So good.
And he was so good on the possession before. Great catch.
You know,
making the run and just popped. What?
You know, I know Jackie Smith.
Oh.
Jackie Smith, the Dallas Cowboy tight end who dropped the pass in the World Series, in the Super Bowl against the Steelers.
You know him?
Yeah. When I lived in St. Louis,
Yes.
I knew him really well. And we did he worked over at the casino, and we did shows at the casino, and he was always on the station. I mean, just looking at that man, he's one of the nicest human beings ever that I've met in my life. To the point where it's like, every time you look at him, you're kind of like,
That's Mark Andrews now.
I mean, do you live with it? I mean, you just want to ask, do you live with it every day? Right. Does somebody ask you every day? I don't want to ask you, but does somebody ask you every day? I mean, it's like,
and if they do ask you, like, how do you feel?
Right? It's like, oh. And he's the nicest. Oh, man. It's so sad. And Mark Andrews, as you said, great Mark Andrews. Had a fumble. He had the fumble, too.
That's what I said. His entire NFL career got redefined in 2 possessions.
Oh.
Just imagine that. In 2 possessions, his NFL career went from the great Mark Andrews to the great Mark Andrews who
dropped a pass to tie the game and send him to the championship, possibly. That's all.
Okay.
I got the Rams pick right because I was getting 6.5 points. You got that one wrong.
Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking though. I didn't factor it out. Forget Dan Orlovsky.
And how about the Commanders? Are they not the most fun team to watch right now in the NFL playoffs? Sometimes teams get hot
at the right time, and when you have the talent and you have the belief,
and you got a quarterback who you don't know how good he is.
You have the skilled position players with all of the other intangibles, bro. You got something cooking. And how about that NFC East? The NFC East is back.
NFC East is back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even though I'm a Ravens fan now.
Yeah.
Go NFC East.
All right, Eagles 6.5 point favorite over the Commanders.
Oh, you know what, man? I'll be honest with you. I'm riding with the Commanders. I think for whatever reason, the Eagles have become super reliant on Barkley to be great. You know?
He's really good.
Like, God, and their offensive line, like he's really good, and their offensive line is
and their
fucking
defense
awful.
is really
and
good.
But I just
something about a team on a roll.
Something when they're going. And every time Jalen Hurts gets tackled, it's like he's out. He's about to be out for the game.
I think I'm going the Commanders too. I love going with the team that's on a roll. I just do, and they're fun to watch. I find myself rooting for them.
Yes.
That I want to bet them because I want to root for them in the game as well. So
I don't really care about betting.
Yeah,
them,
well,
I just like to watch them. They're exciting.
And then you got Kansas City. They're a 2-point favorite at home against Buffalo.
Come on, Bill. You guys can't be like the old Bills that just kept losing in the Super Bowls with Jim Kelly and them. You guys are going to get over the hurdle. Bills Mafia, the upset in Kansas City.
The Chiefs have won 17 straight one-possession games. 17 straight. It's a 2-point spread, which means it's expected to be a close one-possession game at Arrowhead with the greatest quarterback in the league and one of the greatest of all time already.
Already? How about that? How old is he?
I gotta pick the Chiefs, man. You have to. It's hard. The Chiefs this year. How about this? The Chiefs are the only team to have however many wins they had, 15, I guess, to have 15 wins when never scoring 30 points. They never scored 30 points. I mean,
that's why they're going.
So you keep thinking they're going to go down at some point, but they're just
going down. You
keep
rooting for your Chiefs all you want. You try to give me all of these stats. You're rooting because it's your team. It's the team you're rooting for. You had you like this. I had season tickets to the team. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
They're going down.
Go Chiefs. Chiefs! College football title game. Notre Dame, Ohio State.
Okay, listen. I mean, at first, we talked about it, and I was like, I can go in here and BS and act like I watched the whole game.
Right.
I did not watch it. I watched the first half and watched the first drive, and it went 28-7. I'm like, bro. Maybe there should only be 4 teams in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And then I sat there and I was like, I can't watch it. So I turned it off. I turned on a TV show. And then I just happened to be, didn't know how bad it was. I didn't even look till this morning. I was like, I don't even want to see how much they just, I mean, it had to be, I feel bad for Notre Dame.
Right. Going to embarrass them.
Yeah, everybody went down there to the game. And then to see that they lost 34-23 with a real, they had an opportunity to get a stop on a third down that didn't happen, that led to the field goal to make it 34. And I was like, man, I guess that's why you should always watch. No matter how it seems.
Yeah.
You should still watch.
You got to watch, man.
Sports are that way.
Yeah.
And I guess if I was betting, I would have cared more. I didn't have enough of a care. That was a problem. I didn't have enough of a care factor to hang in.
The line was 8.5. And when Notre Dame scored, it got the 2-point conversion, it cut it to 8. And I had Ohio State minus 8.5. And I was like, all right. So then you start thinking, all right, what are we hoping for here? Are we hoping for Notre Dame to
get it back and score and have a
come
good game?
down? And I mean, Notre Dame lets them score a touchdown. I mean, they bust one loose to score a touchdown. I mean, what's my best hope here? And then they convert the third down and you're like, all right, now they're in field goal range. Then you start looking at the clock. Are they going to run the clock out, or are they going to have to kick, or what? And if they get to fourth down, what are they going to do? Are they going to go for it, or are they going to kick the field goal? So it worked out perfectly for me. As they kicked the field goal with 20 seconds left and covered the 8.5. Shout out to the Buckeyes. And congratulations to Ryan Day, who almost lost his job 3 weeks ago.
How about that? Man, that dude's been, I feel like he's been on a hot seat for the last couple of seasons.
He has been. But I love Marcus Freeman. Shout out to Notre Dame.
Yeah, great
they had a
run.
great season. And
Great season.
a worthy runner-up for, I think, our playoff. I think the playoff was great.
Oh, I thought it worked well. I mean, listen,
It was enticing. I mean, I've been watching college football the last 4 weeks.
What were they? This was number 8, the 8th seeded team, and the 7th or 7th, and
Is that right?
something like that,
8
like
and
8 and 7.
Yeah.
So to me, it works. If it worked in some way, if you still had this, it was that balanced that the number 8 and number 7 seed team could make it that far. To me, that means that it can work.
There you go.
There go the chimes. I like church bells.
What else do I got? Okay, can I give a take, a real hot take?
Uh-oh. Let me sit back for this one.
College basketball.
Okay. Uh-oh.
The possession arrow is just stupid.
Yes.
What the hell are we doing? I mean, when a team in the closing seconds of a game need to like steal the inbound or foul, and they almost have the steal and they get the jump, and the referees come in and give the jump ball signal, but they don't have a jump ball. And then the possession arrow's in favor of the offense. And you're like, well, hell, what did we just do? I should have fouled them.
I'm with you because I lost time.
It's dumb. And I understand. And the problem is they call it too damn quick.
Oh, yeah.
They don't let them wrestle. I mean, it's like both hands on the ball to the jump ball. So maybe ease up on blowing the whistle so quickly, but just do the damn jump ball.
Know why they don't do that? There's not enough wrestlers know how to throw the jump ball well enough.
Well, that's a great point.
That's a problem. I mean,
Great point. Great point, never discussed.
You watching the NBA, and here's the thing: the problem is it's very hard to do it when you got two people jostling. Right? You ready? We about to jump. And then here come the ref. You doing that? Here come the ref. He's like
the little ref.
Yeah, he's like this. Hey guys, I gotta throw the ball, guys. Guys, stop it. Let me throw the ball. It's like, I mean, it's. So I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But to be able to do it now, it's going to be another level of, now everybody stand around. You just got to stand around. Okay, you're in the right place? No, that's his spot because of the offense. He gets to stand there. Yeah, guys, keep doing this. Foot over top, foot over. Bro, just stand there. Foot over top, foot back. Push. So
Boy, these jump balls, when we've been lining up for these jump balls lately, oh my.
It's been the lineup for we can't even get lined up for
Can't get lined up for them.
And then I watch how many people I think the refs also get to a point where it's like, man, to hell with it. Because people feet all over the line. There's no more what's the circle where he's supposed to stand around the circle. They just get to a point where like, hey, man, stop.
Let's go. Let's go. Take it. Whatever.
The toss may go right. This may go 8 feet, may go 10 feet. It might not even keep going up. And people just, it's been.
Ugh.
So I think that's why.
And I also hate the reviews in college basketball. Holy crap.
There's too many.
It's every
Like, it's literally-
play. It's every play. We're going to check the clock. We're going to check. Oh, my God. Every play in the last 2 minutes, they go to the screen.
And it's for any and everything.
Everything.
Any and everything.
Oh, it's unbelievable. All right. Toast. I got a toast.
Okay.
Another very successful MLK Day celebration game.
Yes.
And celebration at FedEx Forum. The Grizzlies couldn't be more proud as a Memphis person of the Grizzlies as an organization for what they've done for MLK Day, what Michael Heisley did for the Grizzlies having a game on MLK Day and doing it on a yearly basis, and then the symposium that goes with it is always first class, and yesterday was no exception. It was awesome. And the whole day, I mean, everybody works so hard to put it together, and it comes together so wonderfully well every single year.
Yeah, I thought it was terrific. The addition of adding the kids who are making changes in their schools and in the community, I thought was a fantastic one to it. The stories were great, and we always we hope that some of those messages they continue for more than just the one day.
Yeah,
that's what we always talk about, and so hopefully people took things away from it that would help them further. Helping their communities in a bubble, but helping the overall community. But it was, I mean, people worked very hard to put it on, and it was nice to see how well that went, and then culminating in a game and a win for this team. But it's always a win for the city, and for you and I, because we are transplants here.
Right.
But at this point, they say that we're honorary Memphians. So I am, as an honorary Memphian, very happy and proud to be a part of the city and a part of this organization, especially on that day.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It was awesome. It was really cool, and it's really cool now for the rest of my life. Anytime there's a discussion or it comes up, Tommy Smith comes up, I feel like, okay, I've seen him in person, you know, and I've heard his stories. And one of the great. Yesterday, he has this long-winded answer, and it was a great story. And then all of a sudden, he just ends and he goes, "All right, I'm going to shut up now. I'm hungry."
Fish and I looked at each other like, yo, did he just finish? I mean, he was in the midst of, I'm just breaking it down, just giving us nothing but straight knowledge. And then he just like, and then literally just out the blue, it was just like, oh, that's enough. I'm hungry.
I'm hungry.
All right, so we'll keep going. Petey had to say, well, that's all right.
We'll get you some food.
We got you some food afterwards.
Shout out to the Grizz. Shout out Tommy Smith.
Shout out Cheryl Miller, also, and Amari Stoudemire.
Your former teammate.
My former teammate. My long tenure in Phoenix.
Who was it? Man, I was trying to remember yesterday. I met someone who said that they were a big fan of yours. And they said they remembered you from your playing days. And he said, even the Phoenix days. Oh, it was our bus driver. It was our bus driver in Minneapolis. Get out of here. Yeah, he comes up and he goes, "Oh, Brevin, I just love Brevin. I remember watching him play, even with the Phoenix days." And I looked at him, I'm like, the Phoenix days? There were 3 of them.
That's why I said the Phoenix days. Because that's all it was days.
Maybe he listens to the podcast. Hey, shout out!
Shout out the driver in Minnesota. But I got a shout out too.
Oh, okay.
You see my sweatshirt here.
That's
They're
great.
standing on Grizzlies. My boy Kia Shine. Gotta give him a shout out. They're involved. He's involved in this, and they have a collab night.
Oh yeah.
For the Grizzlies. Of course, I should know the date and have all of that information, but you know who I am, and so
look
yes.
it up.
Well, yeah, you definitely look it up. That's a good thing about a lot of stuff. People are like, well, what do you? I'm like, probably you can look it up.
Look it up.
Don't come to me. Don't come to me as the beacon of information.
As Eric Hasseltine always likes to tell me, if only we had a device where we could look this up.
I'm gonna use that one.
I'm like, yep, we do.
So shout out my boy
Shout
Kia
out,
Shine, man.
absolutely.
You know what? It's right. We standing on Grizzlies. I'm gonna say this during the game one time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna work it in there one
Standing
day.
on Grizzlies.
Yeah.
I like it.
April 10th.
April 10th.
April 10th.
April 10th.
My boy will be there.
All right. That's going to do it for us. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Night Court. We appreciate it. Of course, you can watch each episode as well. If you're listening to the podcast, you can watch the podcast each and every week at the Bluff City Media YouTube channel, and just search Night Court and find us there as well. And you can listen, of course, wherever you catch your podcasts. For BK, I'm Fish. Thanks for joining us. We'll do it again next week here on Night Court. Peace.
Thank you for listening to the Night Court podcast. If you enjoyed Rob and Brevin, hit that like button, subscribe to the Bluff City Media YouTube channel, and enjoy the content. We will see you back here next time.